But what I decided to do, instead of talking about things that were more technical, I mean, obviously we do awesome things at NASA, robotically and humans, I thought that I would instead give you a little bit of an overview of my career and what I call 5 of the most important mythbusters in making your career successful. So mythbuster number 1 is that you have to set a path and you have to stay on that path throughout your career. No deviations, no changes in your goal. I will say that for me, I think that the most important thing is to have a goal and you set your path toward that goal, but always be flexible because you never know what might come along that may be different from what you were planning, but actually put you in a place to be able to do some advancement and get to your ultimate goal. For me, I just want to say I consider my career being, if you know the nursery rhyme, the butcher, baker, and the candlestick maker. I have done a little bit of everything in my life. I have a background both technical and business, and I've switched back and forth from each of those over time. The way I look at it is your career, if you're cerebral, your career, you can consider it a chess game where you have to decide what your moves are going to be strategically. If you're more active, physical, consider it rock climbing. So where you need to know where you're going to put your next hand or foot to be able to get to the top. So that's the way I look at that. And like I said, for me, these are just some examples of my experiences, but I think for most people, when I say to folks that I have had a circuitous path in my career, everybody kind of nods and says, well, yeah, me too. So I think that it's okay for you to have a little bit of a circuitous path. The other second myth buster I want to talk about is that if you stay in one place long enough, now I know a lot of you probably recognize this, but if you stay in one place long enough, they'll recognize you and advance your career. And I have to say this is totally situational. You have to look at where you are, your organization you're working for, what your achievements are, what your path is. And the only 2 things that I would recommend is don't be impatient. I know that's hard. But also make sure that you're doing self-assessment and making sure that you're getting what you need out of that particular position that you're in, and also that you're looking to see what your other opportunities are. I certainly don't advise or recommend jumping from one place to the other, but if you certainly see that your career is not moving in the direction you want it to, then you need to probably start thinking about it. And I brought one little prop with me, and this is something that I've kept with me throughout my whole career. And it says, turn over to see the person most responsible for your future, and it's you. So you can have all kinds of folks that can give you advice, but I really think that you need to make sure you're looking at your career and you're looking at it strategically, that you're thinking about your next step, but do the best you can in the position that you're in at the time. The next mythbuster is the networking. There are 2 things that I think that is most important in a career. It's mentoring and networking. Networking, there are 2 ways to look at it: vertical networking or horizontal networking. Now with vertical networking, what you're doing is like taking the elevator straight to the top. And it's really, it's kind of tempting, looks desirable, but I will say over time, most of the colleagues that I have worked with that took that path, it wasn't sustainable. The horizontal networking that you can do is where you stay on the same floor of a building and you open multiple doors and you get more and more experience and you broaden your background so that as you take the next floor up on the elevator, you have the background and the maturity and the experience to be able to make that next step. So as much as you can do as far as networking, always network vertically, but it is extremely important to network horizontally so that you can gain that experience. Because you will need to draw back from that as you go up in your career. You will need to draw back from that, those experiences that you've had. The next one is mentoring, and here's the way I look at mentoring. I think that you need multiple mentors. You need a near-term mentor, someone that can help you in the position that you're in right now. Also, you need to have a mentor. You need to go out and select mentors. You need to select a person that you respect and that can be objective when they're talking about your career. Near term to help you with your day-to-day challenges, and then more midterm to talk about your 5-year plan. You can have multiple mentors, that works great, but make sure that you respect them, they respect you, and that you can listen to them and be objective. As my daughter, you know, it's like parents, if any of you are parents, your mom can tell you over and over not to do something or to do something, and you invariably try to do the opposite. That's typical. So you need to have a mentor that's objective, so that when they're giving you advice or giving you recommendations, that you can listen to them objectively. And I will say the last of the 5 myths are that you have, in order to be a good leader, you have to be leading all the time. And I don't know if you recognize, but this is Aristotle. To be a good leader, you have to know when to follow, and you have to follow well. And I do that in my career every day, back and forth. I'm either in a leadership position, or I'm standing back and listening and letting other people lead, because being able to do both is what makes everyone a very good leader in the long run. And so I want to leave you with one last thought. And as I was on the Metro last month, I had one of the little Metro Express newsletters, and there was this article from the Associated Press. And it caught my eye. So this was in Poland. This was a cow that escaped from its pen and started roaming with a herd of bison. And the experts were extremely concerned that this cow wouldn't be able to forage and graze in the winter, in cold winter of Poland. But they kept an eye on it. And this cow has done an amazing job of being able to find food and stick with these bison. So I saw this Facebook post, and I borrowed it, but it says, whenever now I find challenges that keep me or prevent me from achieving my goals, I think about the cow that turned into a bison. Thank you.